I want to get out in front with this episode and just let you know there is going to be some very triggering topics discussed from. I just be aware that this is unfortunately what I feel is my responsibility as a person who is trying to, in good faith, critique the themes of this show. And there was very little discussion over some very, very heavy shit that was dropped on us in this episode. And I hate to start off being so downery, because I know that engagement's important, and I want you to watch this episode. I want you to watch it because this is something I'm incredibly upset about, and I think that we need to. I feel an incredible responsibility to talk about. Leading me to effectively this this uncomfortable but I feel necessary part of this episode, where we talk more about how not only this affects the world, but how it, for an audience, can be is not responsible to be presenting to us in the way that they are presenting it to us. The real world ramifications for these statements and how they're portraying these statements is troubling. If you look it up, every writer on this episode is white. The director is white. The showrunners are white. For the two black people in the main cast to be giving voice to this, choosing one oppressor over another to free themselves from their enslavement is a really bad look. It evokes certain traumas that none of those people in that room, in that writer's room, in this, the heads of production have any business talking about. Zero, none. I will not mince words here. White people talking about the enslavement of black people has certain connotations and certain responsibilities that I have never seen a white person get correct, personally, in my life. I think it is a incredibly minuscule amount of, if at all possible, for white people to get these kinds of narratives correct. That's not to say that there aren't types of oppression that white writers can tackle. But I don't believe this is one of them. And the way that they're doing it, I think, is specifically irresponsible. Adding a level of moral grayness to Bab Morda, the symbol of ultimate evil. As I've mentioned, this is the original film is very much about its symbology, a very radical symbology. And to take that away in favor of this morally gray version of Bab Morda, who is effectively turned into a liberator by this narrative, is disturbing, especially in how that maps over radical movements. It's like how often we hear conservatives talk about George Soros in regards to anti-fascists. You know, like we're all these paid activists and things like that. An imperial power trying to destroy a perfectly good system, you know, by paying these dastardly rebels to sow discord. When taking this kind of stance on it, you have to kind of reconcile the fact that there is a certain amount of, as we were talking about earlier, propaganda being intentionally or unintentionally put forth in this narrative. It is, again, it is irresponsible, and that's the lightest version of that criticism I can give. And furthermore, we talk about Jaden and Scorpia. Talk about this idea that pardon me, referring my notes. Sooner or later will rise up. If you erase a people's history, replace the history with an image of unity, a false unity, it's a way to prevent these movements from gaining any kind of traction, a way to disengage from the reality of the situation. To add Babmorda, or to add to the idea that this show is giving a certain kind of moral gray area to the evil and corruption of the unambiguous evil of Babmorda, it also does the same with Sorsha and has been doing that since episode 1. I think this is taking away so much from the character of Sorsha that we learn about in the original film. The idea that Sorsha went through what she went through as a child and through the course of this film, being forced into a life she didn't want, being forced to act as a warrior, a violent force of oppression for her mother, who was abusive towards her, she was constantly in fear of as through her whole life, and now she is replicating those same behavior systems. After the course of the film, her obviously and clearly learning that that's not what she wants for her life. She wants her own autonomy, her own ability to make choices for herself, to give the world, to make the world less of the same thing that she experienced, something more free, something more in line with justice and equity. And this is what they're doing to this character. It should be heartbreaking to the fans of the original film. It is heartbreaking to me because that story and that character are incredibly important. The idea that Madmartigan would let any of this happen is heartbreaking, is frustrating, because it can't just be put on all on Sorsha. Sorsha and Madmartigan are parents. They are the king and queen of Tir Asleen, the two most powerful people systemically in this world. And for them not to have learned fucking anything after the original film is beyond disappointing. It shows that there is a level of disconnection or intentional maliciousness to the way that they are presenting these characters. A lack of, just an absolute ignorance of the themes they are using and wielding. It's like I was very upset by this. I don't think there's any shortage of discourse that you can find on any social media site from people talking about slave narratives within their TTRPGs, D&D games. And if the D&D community is further ahead progressively than your TV show, you have some fucking problems, dude. You have some just disconnection from the real lived experiences that the rest of us fucking plebs have to actually go through. So, I feel like there is a lack of discourse about this element within what I've seen in its critique so far for this episode of Willow. I felt it was monumentally important that we make it open and clear that we here are against this kind of thing. And maybe it isn't my place to speak for everyone here at Nerdcrafty, but I believe in all of our desire for liberation for all people, for representation that is appropriate and respectful, especially to such heavy, intense, traumatic themes that affect thousands, millions of people across the planet. Billions. It's there are still people who are enslaved on this planet today. I think it is important for us to to recognize that these are true lived experiences of some people that exist right now in this world, and how traumatic and how painful seeing those kinds of themes revisited in such a flippant, short, disrespectful kind of way is going to feel to them. I think it is, again, monumentally irresponsible, and I think that they handled it very poorly. And I don't think white people have any reason, any ability to write stories like this, and without the help of an entire community, worldwide community of people who could help them tell it in a way that is respectful, responsible, and ethical. And we aren't getting that.
Well, I don't know if I want to touch that, because I agree with the spirit of it. I agree with the fact that, yes, we should all fight to make sure that doesn't happen to anybody and everything like that. But like, I can't touch every single thing that you have said, that Weston has said. I don't want to have a comeback. Because why would you have a comeback? You know what I mean? Like, and being a white person, I don't feel like I have the right to comment on that either. A white person that hasn't been enslaved or hasn't had those experiences. So I can only sympathize. I cannot empathize. So I can't comment on that, except to say that, yes, I am an ally, and I hope to further all of those goals of liberating the oppressed. And and not only to say that, but also I'm not eloquent enough to say it in a good way that like, to say it in a way that's for lack of better words, eloquent. So just know that I'm an ally. That's all I can say. I know, but I felt like I needed to say something, and I didn't want to interrupt him. I didn't want to interrupt you, Weston, because it's all valid, and I didn't want to interrupt that.
And I think that the people writing for the show, and I think the people involved in its creation, could probably take a lesson from your book right here, Adam. That is probably the best way to handle this. You want to be well informed. You want to be well researched before you touch any of these topics. And we all feel the same way in that regard. And it's in that study that I have learned and can see how irresponsibly they are handling it. Yes, absolutely. And I think that your response is a big reason why I desperately want to do another episode, a series of episodes, probably once the show is over and we've had time to sit on all of these themes and research and study quite a bit more before we're prepared to talk about them, to get to a point where...
Sorry. Yep.
No, it's okay.
Sorry. Sorry, did I turn off my microphone? Oh, fuck. I'm sorry I blew my nose in your fucking ears. Yeah. Sorry about that. Okay, I'm back.
And yeah, I think that's very responsible, very respectful of you, Adam, to not try and assert a unstudied kind of take on this subject, because it is that important. You are 100% correct that to blindly go into a conversation like this is it's not responsible, and it could be very painful for other people outside of this conversation. And I think that is more respectful than the way that they've presented us this information. All this to say, we are going to revisit these themes. I don't want to make anyone more uncomfortable than I've already made them, but I do hope that I've given you some food for thought, and I do hope that you can respect the fact that this is a very serious topic, and that I would hope that there would be more of a public awareness brought to this subject and how poorly it has been mishandled. I desperately hope that in future episodes we will get some kind of further explanation towards all of this. Hopefully, maybe giving us some kind of hope that they're not acting in bad faith and producing this very troubling kind of propaganda that it appears that they are doing. So definitely keep watching our programs if you think that we are providing something useful, something helpful to you and to the community of Willow fandom, as well as the all of us that love fantasy and want it to be used in a responsible way, to give us an opportunity to talk about the incredibly difficult things that we all have gone through in a way that is safe and that is handled with care. Yeah. Thank you so much. I hope we are providing a useful service, maybe some catharsis for some of you who are feeling the same way. We are one of, if not the only, leftist Willow program going on right now. I see nothing but a crowded field of surface level commentary from some very bad faith critics speaking from a very right-wing perspective. So glad to be standing out in our own special way. I've been very proud of the work we've done so far, trying to bring a leftist perspective to Willow, and I hope that that is something that you are enjoying. Thank you so much for watching.